All right, good morning, everybody. It's Michael here with your latest supply and demand report. I hope you're all well. Today, the 13th of December. The month is going really fast. Christmas is almost here. Let's make it a much better 2021, shall we? I would urge you to go through your year and look at what's worked and what's not, and make some changes to improve in 2021. That's what I'm doing. That's what I always do every year. So thank you again to all of you who keep getting in touch and having conversations with me. To those of you who have signed up to the video course, thank you also. Just to let everyone know that as the end of the year is coming, I thought I'd give a bit of an offering. I know some of you have talked to me about it being a bit difficult to afford the video course. It's not that expensive, but I know it's been a very challenging year for everyone. So I'm going to cut the price in more than half between now and the end of January the 31st. So starting right now, it's going to go from the 7 videos of 550 for the videos. It's going to be down to 250. That's British pounds. So if you want to treat yourself to important foundational knowledge and supply and demand and the various steps, how to analyze, how to draw charts, the zones up on the charts, how to set stop losses, all of those things, the mindset required, the time frames required, all of that, just let me know. It's storehouseanalytics@gmail.com. storehouseanalytics@gmail.com. Okay, so we're going to go into our usual review of the usual suspects, the markets we have. And if there are any other markets you guys want me to add on to this list, just let me know. Either post it into the chat at Forex Factory, the Trading Institutional Order Flow chat at Forex Factory, or just email me again with a market you want me to review. So we can build a watch list together if you like. So we'll start with the US dollar. We looked at our monthly charts the last video, and before that we were looking at this daily chart. So I haven't made any changes to this. So we were talking about prices being somewhere here at the time, and how we were going to see if what prices would do at a much lower level of demand, which was way down here at that monthly level that we were talking about. So you can see the prices have stalled around that level. They've gone through it. So we can take these lines off of that now. Clearly the trend in the dollar is down. We have supply levels now being created above us, which we should draw in. So the dollar is, I'm a little bit bearish, the dollar going into 2021. And so I'm quite bullish the metals and the commodities, wheat and soybeans and all that. So I just full disclosure, I do already have a position in wheat. I've opened closed positions in gold, but I'm looking to gold long term. I'm much more bullish in gold long term. So okay, so let's look at what we have below us in terms of potential stopping points. So we have this area of demand. It's not the best because of all of this that is behind it, but it is the origin of a very big move in price. So it's worth having on the chart. Below that, nothing much really for a while. So we're going to be dealing with the buyers in here for a little bit of time to come, I think. So let's just go back to the chart. So you can see we're kind of in the middle and the dollar is stalling here. We'll see if it moves up. We have sellers above, and if we continue to go down, we may create new levels. So obviously we will update the charts as we go along. And that's the thing about, one of the things about supply and demand, that it's always evolving and we're always, keeping up with the market and updating our charts. So the dollar continues to go down. Buying now is the lower probability move. There may be rallies when they get to supply. We will be looking to join this trend to go further down. Now the opposite, it will be what is happening in the euro. As we talked about last time in the monthly video, the video looking at the monthly charts, I should say, We were right here forming this candle, and we were talking about this being supply above. We've pushed through that area as we suspected. You can see that wide range supply zone there that's been tested so many times. Remember, I was talking to you about how prices just seem to be holding up into this area rather than falling, despite this area being tested, which was an indication for us that this area was under threat of being broken. So we've gone through it now, so we can the upper part that we did look at inside here worked for a day. So the short-term income trades in there that we looked at, I believe that was into the 4-hour area. I think that was 4 hour, maybe 1 hour, but that worked. You can see the lines there, but as I said, we've traded through all of that. So let's just update the charts again. And now let's take a look. Let's blow this up and take a look. Where are we at? So we've gone through that level. There seems to be some levels up into here. So I'll just make that. Yeah, so that level is tested already. So we probably should go higher. I'll put it up. Let's put it up in color, shall we? And see where prices are in relation to that. But really the area we want is going up ultimately into this area. So again, look at everything that's behind it. It's the opposite of the dollar, isn't it? So it's what is behind it that makes it not the greatest, but it is, as you can see, the origin of a huge move down. So worth keeping an eye on. Let's go back and look at where we are. Okay, so we haven't hit that level, lightly touched, but again, given what is happening just below that level, if we do rally up, you're going to likely have opposition here to any attempts to sell from the 122 area. The fact that it's a whole number, and we know how people prefer whole numbers to fractions, it's possible we may get some attempts to sell it there, but they will have to get through anything that is left over here. So it's still evolving. We're in between levels. We've just broken out of a long period of basing here, several months of basing. So this thing probably still has a lot of legs to go. In terms of demand below, we'll be looking back down at the 119 area. So looking around this area here for demand. So yeah, if we pull back, definitely worth looking into this area for us to go long. So that's the euro in some detail. The British pound, interesting. We were up into this dashed area on that monthly chart when we had our conversation about the monthlies a few days ago, and we were up into this area. We've since traded through it, so we can update our charts now. Take that off. We've now come back into a previous demand zone that we had drawn on the charts already. It's all in the videos. I haven't touched any of these charts since the last video. And we've had a significant sell-off, but we still found buyers in that 131.58 area to 130.80 area. What we should be looking at now is whether we've had a change in the trend here. I'm just looking above to see what we have. So we are working through all of this area. Seems up into this area has been a lot of attempts to get through that 135-ish area with no luck so far. It'll be a significant event around the world if we do manage to eventually get up there, but we'll see. With Brexit and everything going on right now, with the trade deal hanging in a balance, it's going to be an interesting 2021 for the British pound, and to an extent the euro. We'll see. So let's take a deeper look at this. So this was the main demand zone that we had down into here. There was some demand in here, but all tested, prices traded through, went back up, and now have come down. This supply zone, this area here, is something to keep an eye on. It's not the greatest because the move away hasn't been significant enough yet, but if we continue further down, maybe take out this demand, it becomes even better. It becomes a better area to look at. So maybe we should circle that so that anyone watching the video will know that it's an area of interest. It's not necessarily just yet something that we would be taking shorter, but it's an area of interest. I'd much prefer for prices to go a little bit lower and then come back up. So we'll see how that evolves. So for now, nothing much happening in the pound. I haven't taken trades in the British pound for a while because of all the fundamental news. It's just been a little bit unclear, the trends, and a lot of it is driven by whatever piece of news is being released by the EU or the British government. So yeah, all right. So New Zealand, US. Okay, so that's traded through that tiny little supply zone on the monthly we were looking at before. It had already reached the top of it by the time we were doing the video, so that's not surprising. These levels, as we said in the last video, are not that great. The fresh one is up there. This demand is becoming even stronger. You can see, I believe we were up into here when we were doing that video. You can see that we still did not get that evidence of sellers, I should say, coming in, even when we were into this monthly supply zone. Excuse me. So we didn't go short this market because the evidence just did not arrive, because the demand zones just kept holding. The sellers they just didn't show up into that area, so it wasn't an area of interest. So that would be something maybe to add to your trading arsenal. I would suggest in 2021, when we are looking at these supply and demand zones, just a little bit of a tip for you is to go into the closer view of price action when you are at bigger time frame levels and see what's happening to price. Just sort of magnifying price action. If you think about using a magnifier, that's all multiple time frame analysis really is. And I've made it my business to become quite familiar, or specialist, I should say, in multiple time frame analysis. It's what I do. It's what I've made my business to fully understand, and the dynamics around it, how trends change. The good thing is, in our era, unlike in the 1900s or even much later, we have the opportunity to view this kind of price action. They just had daily charts and weekly charts in those days. They didn't have the intraday time frames to look at. Okay, so looking at this trend, we still have higher highs and higher lows. Demand zones continue to hold. We are seeing a bit of slowing down in the demand, which is not surprising. We've had a ginormous move from March this year to where we are now. Big move. So I won't be surprised if we start to see some profit taking and slowing down of the uptrend. But let's see what's above us. What have we got above us? So above us, we've got this area. So let's go take a closer look into all of this. Okay, so we can see clear distribution pattern there that led to the big fall. The area that prices were rising last before they fell was up into here. So there isn't much in the way of clear, definitive supply into this area. I'm just going to put this area in color and see if prices have already traded through that. But it's this whole sort of area up in here was definitely an area that prices could not get through. It's not supply, traditional supply that we talk about, but you can see the range, how it formed way back in 2018 before the big drop. So we'll keep an eye on that level, but it is not supply as we would normally draw it. It's a band of resistance above. In terms of what we have above for supply, we'll have to go higher, in which case we would then be looking at something. It's a very wide, ugly zone. You could even make it bigger. I thought I'd go into a bit more detail than I normally do. It's the end of the year, it's Christmas. Why not? If I can help one person, I think that would be job done. So that's what we would be looking at above. That area there might be of interest to traders trading other methodologies, so watch out for that as well. Let's go take a look. Right, so we are sitting just below that little area. So no surprise that we are stalling. It's an area that may cause some selling to happen, so keep an eye on it. It's high up on the curve, so it might be worth keeping an eye on that. We've had a pause before it, so again, we want to see the evidence of that selling coming in, preferably before we do any major shorting. For those of us practitioners, such as me early on in my career, of shorting a market that continues to go up just because it's into supply and there's an embedded zone in there, that's one possibility. But over time, as when you look back on the statistics, often with supply and demand, those kinds of trades, when they work, can make you feel really good, because you're the one catching the top, you're the first in. It may not be suitable for other supply and demand practitioners to do that. So I know there will be supply and demand traders looking at that zone and just salivating at the thought of shorting there. I know I used to, but let's see what happens when prices get up there. Just be cautious, because the trend is still up. We've just recently broken out again of this trading range here. It's moved up, and it hasn't had much in the way of selling so far. It's been rally-based rallies, and they've been holding, which suggests strength in the trend. So just be mindful of those little nuances, please. Okay. All right. So going into the indices now, I finally got stopped out of my long position, taken down into here, which is a really profitable trade. So thank you, Mr. Market. And we are now beginning to pull back a bit. As we've said, there's no supply above, so we will have to wait to see if and when supply does show up. Yeah. So markets pulled back a bit on Friday, but there's still buying happening. There's still buying happening, even at really ill-defined demand zones. People are still buying the pullbacks into this market. So be mindful of that, please. We may have put in a temporary top for now, but if we start going up again, you may not be wise to be shorting, trying to get the top. I know one of my guys in my group, in the round table, he shorted the Nasdaq and made a huge profit, catching the top there. But those are seasoned traders, and it's not ideal. He's been doing this for 6 or 7 years already. After I trained him, so it's not something that I would urge anyone just starting out to do, and some of them are long at this level as well. So bear that in mind. The market is still showing some strength. It's still holding demand zones. There was a little demand zone here that obviously has been traded through, which is why I'm saying I know there will be people trying to short it, but we want to see what happens when prices get up here. For now, anyone looking at this market, I don't know that anyone in the world would say this market is in a downtrend. It would be hard to make that argument. So as long as it's not in a downtrend, shorting is a lower probability proposition. Okay. Going to Australia. So Australia, as we talked about, hit the monthly supply. You can see the stalling. The prices are still holding demand levels. They've traded through one, but they've gone and made higher highs, but not much of a higher high, which suggests slowing in the market, and they're coming back down now. So I believe it was in this room that I mentioned we need to trade through. We need to break. So this is now the significant low that we need to get through for people to start thinking twice about fresh money into this market. We need to get through those lows to convince people that the sellers are beginning to show up and take control, and in which case then we can look for potential shorts into rallies, maybe to bring us back down closer to this monthly demand, closer to this area where we may then consider longs. Yeah. So for now, it's a watch and wait for this one. Okay, let's see what's above us. Okay, so we are into supply zone that we marked off the last time, this area here, and you can see that's why it's stalling. Whether it continues up, because again, we just have evidence of profit taking, we have evidence of a battle going on between buyers and sellers. We don't have one side definitively winning just yet. So watch and wait. Okay, the Nikkei continues its power move, but it also has been stalling. If you look at it on the intraday time frame, it's also been stalling. This one is obviously a buy on any pullbacks. You can see the area, the breakout area there going into these levels here. There will probably be buyers looking for a pullback to buy from there, but we've got quality demand zones, levels on top of levels below, so we will be looking for pullbacks into that area, which tally more into these lower levels, not this one, these lower levels down here. Into Europe we go, and the DAX has struggled at this area. It has struggled to get above this area. We talked about this in the last video. It has not gone above. It's into monthly supply, and they've been playing that ping pong game between this demand below and this supply above, and it's beginning to turn. Rather want to see it go below these levels before we start shorting, and rally up before we get to these demand levels to see if we can then buy it. Rather, if we can short it and then look for buys lower down whilst it plays this game of ranging tops and bottoms. These levels are lower quality because they're not closer to the bottom. This one is much better, much better. In fact, we really should have circles around these two, given what's evolving above us right now. They're not levels I would necessarily hang my hat on for long-term trades. No. Okay. Now the weaker sister, as we said, the weaker sister woke up a little bit this week. We were down here when we were talking that every attempt to sell off was being met by buying, even though we were into supply. The monthly was in the middle with bands of resistance and support below and above. But we made it through. We made it through that supply zone. So let's update the chart and take that out. We're now sitting at this big level that we drew in the last time, and it's taking its merry time to decide what it wants to do. Again, if the sellers are going to take control, they need to take out this set of buyers in here. They need to take out these guys. Yeah. And then we can say, yeah, they've taken control. You'll notice the very, very small distance, very little profit margin in there. So we need much more movement. We need much more movement. Of course, the UK economy has struggled with the pandemic a lot, and the projections are not great. Either it's that we will grow very little, or even if we grow at all, it'll be at a much slower pace. So time will tell. But for now, strong uptrend, continues to take out highs and go to newer highs. So nothing to do just yet. As we said, we're in the middle of the move. So in the longer term, nothing much to do. Short-term income trading maybe, but not really for shorts because of the power of this trend. More supply, more demand zones down into here, but we're well far away from there. Okay, let's go into the commodities. Nat gas. I do apologize for the length of the video. I didn't realize I was going to talk so much. I do apologize because I don't intend to make these too long, but I feel it's needed. I don't know. I probably will make one more video before the year runs out, but just in case I don't, at least we'll have some detail. Okay, so nat gas continues to power down. Let's update this momentum line. We'll put it here now. So it continues to go lower and lower. I'll just make this bigger. It continues to go lower and lower, but we have started to move up. Well, how far this will go, we'll just update this chart with these old levels we talked about. Can't remember those conversations, what we said about them, but no matter, we need to update anyway. So we are going back up now. We didn't make it to this demand, but that's what is fresh and below current price. We've traded through that one, so let's take it off. Although you notice price has just dipped, so if you're long from this area, depending on where you put your stop, you really shouldn't be out of that position just yet, and you'll probably be slightly above, if not at, your break-even point again now. So maybe we'll leave it. Let's leave it. Let's see what happens. As I said earlier, I'm quite bullish the commodities and the metals. So we'll see. If we don't get this pullback that we talked about last week, if we just get a basing here for another few months and then a rally up, then yeah, fine. But yeah, we're looking for what's going to happen next. If we start ending downside momentum and start holding that 2.6, 2.7 area, then yeah, long positions may be possible. For now, nothing really to do from what I can see here. If we were looking for short-term income in natural gas, which is, I'm sure some of you are, the quality of the supply zone up here is not the greatest. Maybe looking into that area when prices, if and when prices do get back up there, for the creation of intraday time frame supply, maybe. But in terms of embedded zones, it's not really great up in here. The level that has already triggered and worked already was that one, so that's already done. But in terms of, in fact, you know what, let's take a look at the 4 hour up into this area. Let's see what is above us. Yeah. Okay, so you might want to go look into this area. That will be the best, I would say, if you find anything in this area. I wouldn't go higher into these wicks. Not ideal, but somewhere in this area, maybe on a 1 hour, if you wanted to do a set and forget, which is possible given that we are in a downtrend on the daily. Okay. All right, so that was nat gas. Crude also pushing higher. Got demand being created, got a little bit there as well. We still have that level, but now we have 2 to get through before we can get back down to this one. We are into supply that we marked off. It's all in the videos, the last 2 or 3 videos we've done where we mark these levels together in here. So we'll see what happens. It's broken out of let me just widen it so we can see better. It's broken out of an area of basing, and we'll see if this is a fake breakout, but it's a continuation of the trend at the very least, right? So big move out of it, going to new highs. Pullbacks will still be a potential buy until we start taking demand zones out, so bear that in mind, please. Going short is possible. It's the lower probability trade, as we said, because of the power of the current trend. So that's crude oil. Nothing much to do right now for that one. We are into monthly supply, so bear that in mind. It's been a very sharp move up, so we want to see evidence, though, of the sellers taking control. Now, silver, and we'll do gold next. So silver, we were talking, I think last time we were talking, we were discussing how prices were sitting into this supply zone, and I was worried that supply zone was not going to hold given the power that I was seeing coming into gold. Well, it hasn't held, and we're back up into this area. Interestingly, again, instead of, aggressive falling that you would expect, prices coming into an area where sellers definitely won the fight when it was last there, it's just holding now. It's holding between $23.5 and $24.5. So let's see what comes next. I'm bullish again the metals, but let's see what happens. It's interesting to me how it's evolving. It's not got as clear a supply and demand picture, I would say, as gold. You can see if we wanted to do mark out the levels, that's the fresh level of demand below. The supply, this is way too many candles, but if you wanted to go higher, I wouldn't advocate this. I'm just saying that's an area where you can see that there will be sellers trying. It's the area of the breakdown. There will be sellers trying to come in there. What will determine how much they succeed is what forms as we go up, because we would be if we do get up there, we would be breaking out of this is scenario planning. A lot of what we do on the round table. If we do break out, this is what we will have. We would have prices breaking out of a range. Having this there is not great because it could end up causing prices to pull back. But as I said, it depends on what forms as we go up. If we form demand, then the chances of this working suddenly decrease. The chance of this working as a short suddenly decrease if we form quality demand in there. Okay, so watching it really, really closely. In terms of long-term play, there's no long-term play just yet. We're in the middle of zones. We're in the middle of a move. So nothing much to do in the long term, but we're looking at these timing charts for potential opportunities which may or may not set up. And to gold, I hope some of you took advantage of the gold chart. Let's go to the futures view. I think we had some, this was what. So we were talking about gold being into monthly supply, monthly demand, and I was talking about the preference I had for these two zones rather than where it was sitting at this level when it was around here, when it was sitting into this demand. So you can see we did go to that lower level and we've had a significant rally. Probably the most significant rally we've had since the highs there. So again, it's holding. Let's see if we form a drop base drop move down, or do we form a drop base and we start rallying up. We'll see what happens there. But for now, there will be potential buyers possibly at these levels down in here. So there may be an opportunity with gold hitting that monthly demand level. There may be an opportunity to buy gold for me into that level. We'll see. If new levels form and if we go higher and new levels form, then we'll be looking to take those, be even more confirmation that the turn is looking to occur. Okay, so again, we made it to the end of the list. Thank you for those of you who have made it so far, listening to my voice droning away. I hope it's been useful. Just in case I don't see you guys before Christmas or before the new year, I want to wish you all a Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. A much better year in 2021 than we've all had in 2020. It's been a very tough year for the world, so well done for making it this far, and hopefully 2021 will be even better. So again, if you're interested in the 7-video course that I have, it's £250. Cut it in more than half. A gift to you for Christmas. A gift to you, to yourself for Christmas. I wish you well. Take care of yourselves and Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Bye, everyone.